Attention all warriors of Azeroth, the time has come. The ice-cold halls of Icecrown Citadel are echoing with the whispers of power, prestige, and an unparalleled weapon that stands above all the others. Yes, I'm talking about Shadowmourne, a legendary axe that's become an obsession for many in the upcoming Phase 4 of WoW Classic. But with Icecrown Citadel's reign expected to last only 150 days, obtaining this awe-inspiring weapon is a race against time. Not everyone will have a chance to wield its might. I hear you asking, who should get priority for Shadowmourne? What class and spec deserves it the most? You're in the right place, fellow adventurers, for today we're diving deep into the mysteries of Shadowmourne and unveiling the secrets that determine its priority. From the DPS titans to the unexpected contenders, we'll explore everything you need to know to make the most strategic decision for your guild. So buckle up and prepare for an epic journey into the heart of Icecrown Citadel. The road to Shadowmourne begins now. First, you have to prepare yourselves for one of the most epic quests in all of Azeroth. If Shadowmourne's call resonates inside your bones, then you'll need to be a Deathknight, a warrior, or a Paladin. Your journey starts by aligning yourself with the Ashen Verdict and embarking on the Sacred and the Corrupt quest. High Lord Darian Mograine awaits you in the icy depths of Icecrown Citadel, ready to set you on a path filled with peril and promise. You'll brave the harsh dragon blight to obtain Light's vengeance and face the grotesque Festergut and Rotface inside ICC for their blood. But that's just the beginning, adventurers. You'll also need 25 Primordial Saronite, obtainable from boss drops or by spending 23 Emblems of Frost. Beware, for these will cost potentially over 10,000 gold each at the beginning of Phase 4. You'll need the support of your guild, be it through donations of Primordial Saronite or a hefty guild bank filled with at least 300,000 gold. But fear not, for the rewards are unparalleled. Your quest will then take you back into Icecrown, facing down trash mobs and iconic bosses like Professor Putricide, Queen Lanethel, and the chilling Syndragosa. And here's a pro tip: Syndragosa's icy breath demands special attention. Investing in 213 Icebane armor pieces will serve you well in this frosty battle. Okay, so all that was a little too exciting for me. Once you've done all these quests, you'll have the privilege of looting Shadowfrost shards. These have approximately a 75% drop rate per boss in Heroic Icecrown. You'll need a whopping 50 total of them. That means the typical Shadowmourne will take between 6 and 7 weeks to complete. That doesn't even factor in the weeks of normal modes and progression struggles that will likely lower your shard count per week. With a predicted 21-week phase duration before Phase 5, you'll likely only be able to complete 2 Shadowmournes in a typical raid before Phase 5. That is, unless you want to spend most of your Shadowmourne time fighting Halion and Ruby Sanctum. So getting into our Shadowmourne priority discussion, the first thing everyone's going to say about Shadowmourne Prio is that you should give the legendary to the most loyal person in your raid. You know, the guy that's been putting in the most time and effort over the expansion. Except that the whole point of giving out gear is to Prio the players that will have the biggest impact to make the raid smoother and more consistent for everybody. Whether you're speedrunning, parsing, or just looking to do progression raiding, it comes down to giving the right gear to the right classes. ICC is predicted to be extremely hard, and it's not even guaranteed most guilds will have cleared Heroic Lich King by the time their first Shadowmourne is crafted. That means Shadowmourne will play an extremely key role in actually clearing the raid for the majority of guilds. We'll also have at least 4 months remaining until Cana, which means giving the best weapon to the wrong choice will impact raid consistency and speed for multiple months. This isn't a token weapon given out to the guy who made the raid rosters. This is a weapon that should be given to the classes that gain the most from it. One other note on Shadowmourne Prio before we get to the list is the topic of the Shadowmourne Curse. The Shadowmourne Curse is a very common situation where somebody obtains a Shadowmourne and then promptly stops wanting to play the game anymore. To avoid the Shadowmourne Curse, one solution would be to have goals for your guild beyond just the Shadowmourne. For example, setting a guild-wide goal to reach a specific speedrun time in the final weeks of Phase 4. Okay, so let's jump into the Shadowmourne priority list. At number 8, the least priority for Shadowmourne is all of the tank specs. For many guilds, Shadowmourne will be key in progression and getting the raid consistent for farm status. That means Shadowmourne needs to go to the huge scaling damage dealers. The only exception would be giving the 4th or 5th Shadowmourne deep in Phase 5 to a tank like a Prot Paladin as a pure status symbol. If your guild is set up to reward that tank with Shadowmourne earlier than that, it's probably time to join another guild for Kata. At number 7, we have Frost Deathknight. Frost would seem like an ideal choice for Shadowmourne since they scale extremely well and push over 16,000 damage in the endgame. That puts them as a top 5 DPS spec in the phase and a key cog in any Lich King progression. Unfortunately, if you want a 2-hand Frost in PvE, you'll just be missing too much value from key talents. From my conversations with top Death Knights, a Frost 2-hander PvE is just a no-go and last on the Prio list. At number 6, we have Arms Warrior. This is a PvP spec right now, but they definitely perform much better with Shadowmourne in PvE than without. They'll be doing about 14,000 DPS in 180-second patchwork-style fights. At number 5, we have Unholy Deathknights. Here's the thing, if you compare Unholy with Shadowmourne to their second best option, you'll be seeing over a 900 damage difference. The problem is that Unholy suffers mainly from comparison to into the dual-wield build. The Unholy Full Bis ICC gear set with 2 Havoc's Call axes is expected to do around 14,500 damage per second on a 3-minute patchwork-style fight. Meanwhile, with Shadowmourne, Unholy will do about 15,000 DPS per second, which is only a jump of 3.5%. If you prio Unholy first, you probably just want it for PvP or to reward a loyal guild member. I know you've been loyal, so I'll give you a Shadowmourne if I ever make a Wrath guild. You'll just have to be subscribed to this channel, that's all you'll need. At number 3 prio, we have Blood Deathknight. You may not like it, but the fact is that they get more out of the stats on the armor pen than Unholy. An early rough estimation is that Blood without Shadowmourne will do about 13,900 damage per second single target. With Shadowmourne, they jump all the way up to 14,750 damage for an increase of 6%. At number 2, we have Ret Paladins. Ret gains the second highest damage jump from their second biz option to Shadowmourne. They'll be absolutely destroying with their tier 10 set bonus. Add in Shadowmourne and then it'll take them all the way up to 16,000 damage per second. If your Ret is really blasting, you'll have a very hard decision to make compared to the first option on this list. The number 1 priority for Shadowmourne in Phase 4 is Fury Warrior. Every aspect of Shadowmourne, from the armor penetration to the gem slots to the weapon damage, feels directly designed for Fury. Fury theoretically goes up 1,300 damage with Shadowmourne from 14,900 to 16,200. That's an increase of over 8.7%, which is massive. The tiebreaker edge should end up going to Fury though, because they will slightly outperform on cleave like the big trash packs or Lady Death Whisper. This is also based highly on sims, whereas in the real world your warrior or your Ret may be significantly overperforming or underperforming. Speaking of real world performance though, you should know the 8 weakest DPS specs in Wrath going into ICC that need a buff. Check that video out next.